How did I find my wife? Well, until the age of 23, I was a kissless virgin loser. And then I realized that what was holding me back wasn't that I was ugly or because I was brown, but because I had a repulsive personality. I was feminine, emotional. So when I fixed that and I became a lot more masculine, dominant, aggressive, blunt, and straightforward, I started getting a lot of attention from women. But being the dirty degenerate that I was, I gave in to this. I started having casual sex with a lot of women. I never kept a count, but I'd assume it's between 50 to 70 women that I've been with sexually over a span of about 1.5 years, from age 23 to 24 and a half, because I know I set myself a target, as disgusting as it sounds, of sleeping with a different woman every week. But that was very soul crushing. Although I really enjoyed the sex and I did a lot of vile and almost abusive things to these women, I hurt them physically because that's what turned me on. Whenever I was drive home late at night, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., I would feel this shame inside of me, this soulless life that I was living, just sharing brief moments of intimacy without any emotional or spiritual connection. It was no different than just masturbation, pump and dump. So I realized eventually that something had to change. This was not the man that I wanted to be. So it was around the age of 24 and a half when one day I decided enough is enough. I will no longer be this dirty degenerate. I've done it, and it's not helped me in any way. If anything, I'm more depressed, more purposeless than I've ever been. So I set myself a rule. Any woman that wants to pursue me, or any woman that I want to pursue, who I give my attention to, must meet my core minimum standards. The minimum standards. If she doesn't meet them, I will not give her any attention. I will not pursue her in any way. She must be respectful. She must be obedient. She must be feminine. There's no point to dating or pursuing a woman or marrying her if she doesn't place you above everyone else. So that's respect. No point in being with a woman who doesn't listen to what you say, who challenges you. That's obedience. And she must be, to some capacity, my polar opposite. I don't want to date or marry a woman who strives to be an entrepreneur, strives to be independent. I want her to be a baby. I want her to want me to look after her. I want her to see the world in colors because I see it through black and white. 2 weeks after I set myself this rule, I met my wife. 2 weeks. For decades, ever since I was a young boy, I wanted a girlfriend. Never had one. Even when I was being a dirty degenerate, I only ever met the women once. But I always wanted a genuine partner deep down. And it just so happened that when I set my mind to it, when I forced myself to strive for better, that's when I met my wife. Could God have put her in this life for me? And He saw that now I'm ready to meet her because I became this better version? Maybe. Could it be that I was always going to meet her at this time, but because my mindset had changed, now I saw the beauty in her rather than just chasing dirty whores. She wasn't invisible to me anymore. I think it's a mixture. I met her through friends. So we went to universities in the same city. And it just so happened that some of my friends were friends with some of her friends. And these friends were very high quality. They didn't drink, they didn't party, they were good, decent people. So when I met her through them and I spoke to her for the first time, I had a little bit of confidence that she is also somewhat high quality because you are the average of the 5 people that are closest to you. What really connected me to my wife at that time was she was so different still to everyone else. She spoke very softly, very formally, just like me. I really find a woman's accent very attractive. It shows that she puts care and attention to how she presents herself to the world. I noticed that as our connection grew, she would always put me above others. That showed respect. She valued my presence in her life. She respected my authority as the man that she wanted to marry, as a fiancé, and eventually as a husband. She was very obedient. I remember the first time that I asked her to meet on a one-to-one basis, like a halal date, let's say, just so we could get to know each other a bit better. I told her to come to my city. No, she didn't drive. She took the train without question to go from her city to come to my city to come meet me at the place and time that I had told her to. I didn't request this. I issued an instruction, a command, and she obeyed it. It was a little bit of a test to see would she be obedient naturally, and she was. And she was very feminine. She didn't exude this independent, I don't need no man persona. She actually talked very positively about her desire to be a housewife, to be a mother, to look after her home, her husband, and children, while her husband is given this freedom to work very hard. And so, because of this, not only do we have a really strong physical connection, we found each other attractive, not just in how we looked, but everything about us, how we presented ourselves to the world. She could see that I was very masculine, I was very driven, I was very authoritative. And I could see she was very submissive. She was a very pleasant person. She knew her place in this dynamic, in this relationship. She knew that I was above her as the man. Through this, we then developed an emotional connection. That's when we tried to understand each other's story, our past, our experiences, what makes us tick. The irony is that on paper, me and my wife are not compatible. On paper, I have had a ton of sexual experiences, disgusting experiences. I have hit women. I have tied them up. I have done rape fantasies because that's what I was into. Home invasion fantasies. I have done everything. My wife has never even been on a date with another man. She was terrified to meet me. She was shaking. She was so nervous. But she still did this because she saw this potential in me. But she had no experience in dating, no experience in romance. On paper, I am very commanding. I am very aggressive. On paper, she is very submissive. She is very someone that's able to be told what to do. And yet we connected so well because we were the person that the other person needed. We were the ideal partners for each other. We introduced our parents very quickly. After the third time that I saw her, and bear in mind, we've not done anything, we've not even held hands at this stage, I said to her, I want to introduce my parents to your parents, like they visit you, the traditional way. And we did, and it went wonderfully. The next week, she brought her parents to my home, so they met again. So this showed everyone that my intentions are decent. I want to marry this girl. I want to progress things forward the right way. At this point, I also shared with her my past, that I had not dated in the sense of like having a girlfriend, but I have had a lot of sexual experiences. She already knew this to some capacity because she could see I was a man who knew exactly what to do. I could flirt with women. I could flirt with her if I wanted to. I didn't get nervous. I knew exactly what to say, make her feel at ease. She could sense that I've had experience in the past. One thing that really impressed me was that when I told her this, she didn't ask any questions. She didn't want to know. what I had done. When was the last time I was with a woman? When was the time that I had met the woman and had the best time? You know, the type of things that girls would claw at you to know, because at the end of the day, it will only upset them and it will fuel their anger towards you. She didn't want to know this. All she could see was the improvement that I had made in myself. She had confidence that if this is how much Danish has improved, he went from a kissless loser virgin to a dirty degenerate to this strong, masculine, wholesome man. And he did this by himself. Imagine the transition I could make into a better version of myself when I had a beautiful, respectful, obedient, feminine wife by my side. She saw this potential in me, so she didn't judge. In our religion, we are Muslim. It is actually a grave sin to judge someone, because if they have made progress in their shortfalls, you must now respect them as they are, not on what they've done. I navigated this just through total honesty, total humility. I didn't hide anything. If this woman is to be my future wife, she needs to know everything about me, but whatever she wants to know. So I opened up some parts about myself, but I didn't go on and on and on and tell her every single thing. I told her what she needed to know. And like I said, she didn't ask any questions. She understood. All she cared about was, if she marries me, would I provide her with the life that she's always fantasized about? And the answer was clearly yes. Why am I monogamous? Because for me, that is what best fits my life. I am Muslim, so technically, I have the right, the religious right, to have up to 4 wives. It's not something I've considered because I have no need to. My wife satisfies every one of my needs. I have complete and total authority in my marriage. I'm able to have more exciting, more thrilling intimacy with my wife than I have ever done with any other woman. And that doesn't mean we're into like weird, kinky shit. Not at all. It's because we have such a strong physical connection. It's because we have such a strong emotional connection. It's because that we have such a strong spiritual connection that my wife dedicates her entire existence to satisfying me. And in turn, of course, I satisfy her, not just sexually, but through our life at home, through the adventures that I take her on, through my role as a husband, and eventually, God willing, my role as a father to her children. I don't see right now how another woman could offer me any more satisfaction than what I have right now. It's actually a topic that I've spoke to my wife about. We have a lot of deep emotional conversations. And I asked her once, how would you feel if one day I got myself another wife, and this woman either lived in the same homes, if it's a very big house like a mansion, or if it was at a separate house? And her response to that really opened my mind, because she was totally honest. She said, I think initially I will be heartbroken, not because of what you've done, but because this other woman is able to clearly satisfy you in ways that I couldn't, like it was a failure on her part. But she says, as the Quran says that you have a right of up to 4 wives, I must respect it. Me and my wife, we don't believe in divorce. Divorce doesn't exist in our world. It is probably the worst, most gravest sin that I can think of. Anyone who divorces deserves an eternity in hell. Now, obviously, there are some cases where it might be applicable, but I'm talking about cases where even nowadays you see Muslim women telling their husbands that if you marry another woman, I will leave you. Unacceptable. You should talk to your husband. You should influence him if that will upset you, but you have no right to command your husband and issue threats. He has every right to have up to 4 wives. But that's a question for another time. All I can tell you is because my wife satisfies me in every way, I have no reason to consider polygamy. Why not be like Hamza? Why not marry more than one wife? Hamza is not pursuing polygamy. Hamza has only ever been in monogamous relationships. I know him better than anyone else. What Hamza has said in the past is, given that he is very successful, given that he is clearly at the top tier of self-improvement, at the top tier of masculinity, that's why we follow him. When he did a lot of deep reflection, he saw that there possibly could be ways that his life could become more satisfying, more fulfilling if he had more than one wife. For example, take me. If you asked me how many children I want to have, I would tell you honestly, between 2 to 4, meaning I want a minimum of 2 children. 3 would be ideal, but I would consider up to 4. I don't want more than 4 children because that is so much bandwidth that I don't think I could be able to afford to my children to make sure they each get a lot of me. Could one wife produce up to 4 children? Yes, she could do 2, 3, 4 children. Many women have up to that number. Okay. And if you asked Hamza how many children would you like to have, he may say 10, 20. Some men want to have more children. There's nothing wrong with that. Is it fair? Is it ethical? Is it loving to take one woman and get her to have 20 children? Do you think that woman will be alive at the end of that many childbirths? Do you think she will feel loved that every year she has to pop out a baby and her physical health is destroyed, her emotional health is destroyed because child labor, pregnancy is very taxing on a woman? If you truly loved your wife, would you make her have 10 children? And maybe she would willingly because she loves you so much, but is it fair? Is it a thing that a loving husband would do? Of course not. But let's say if you are totally set on having many children, because that's what you want in life. You have every right to live your life the way that you want to. If you want to have 20 children, which option's better? Making one wife have 20 children, or having 4 wives with each have 5 children each? Could one wife each have 5 children? Well, yes. It's a lot less taxing than having 20 children. It's a lot less physically demanding. A loving husband, if he definitely wants to have a lot of children, would consider having more than one wife, but he would do it in a way that reassures his current wife and his current wives that this doesn't mean he doesn't love them. This is just his purpose, to have a lot of children. If he's a millionaire or a billionaire and he can provide the life and fulfillment and flourish the lives of all his children as a father to many kids, then who is to say to him that he's wrong? Now, again, these are his values, this hypothetical man. These may not be your values. You don't have to agree with this, but you cannot criticize another man for wanting a life that's different than you, especially when through God and religion, he has been given the right to have more than one wife. He has been given the right to have as many children as he wants, provided every wife and every child is looked after. Now that is something that Hamza said he can see some benefit. It is not something that he is pursuing right now. Hamza said many times recently, over the past year or so, that right now his main focus is just finding a beautiful, feminine, virtuous, religious wife. How can you decide that you would want to pursue polygamy if you don't even have one wife yet? You do things one at a time. So I think many people took that out of context. All the haters said, oh, look, Hamza's becoming a degenerate. And it's just nonsense. He's allowed to have more than one wife. He's still technically a Muslim. He's not as practicing as I am, which I'll go on in a bit. But by birth, by his adulthood, he's still a Muslim. No one can tell him he can't have more than one wife as long as he follows the rules laid down in our book. Am I a Muslim? Yes, I am. I'm proud to be a Muslim. I will die defending my belief. I wasn't always like this. I was born a Muslim, but I lost my faith when growing up because the only time I would hear about religion, not just Islam, but Christianity, Judaism, the religion of Abraham, was just through negativity. The church abuse scandals, terrorist attacks from Muslims. Jews control the world. So I left my beliefs. I lived a godless life. So is there any wonder that I had such a strong pursuit of degeneracy? But when I was at my lowest point, when I was soulless, that's when I turned to God. And I prayed to God that I can be a better man. And that's when I set myself the rule of not pursuing women who didn't deserve my attention, my love. And it just so happened then that I met my wife. And it's through her love, it's through her presence that I became a better Muslim. Since I've met her, I no longer eat haram foods. I only ever eat halal. I never ate pig in my life, and I've never drank alcohol. Those two things I've never done. But in terms of eating meat that wasn't strictly halal, I have done that throughout my life, but I have not done it since the day I met my wife. Out of love and respect for her and her beliefs, I pray now. My wife and I pray together. I lead the prayers. She taught me how to pray in Arabic. I didn't know. My mother had taught me, but it had been 10, 15 years since I'd last prayed when I met my wife. She taught me from scratch. And now, every evening, I pray. I'm working on it. I'm not perfect. I don't pray 5 times a day. My wife does. But I'm getting there. I'm making progress day by day. I read the Quran, but more importantly, I try to understand what it teaches, and I follow it. I implement it into my life as best that I can. My wife inspired me to do this. I wish I could tell the world, like I'm telling you, I found religion because I became this better man. That's not what happened. I wanted to become a better man. I saw my wife's life and saw how religion flourished her life. She comes from a very strict religious family. I've mentioned a bit in the past about how her family has roots with the Taliban. They go as far back in Afghanistan, where the Taliban now control it. That's how strict they are. That's how traditional they are. Seeing how dedicated she was to her faith inspired me to pursue it too. And that made my wife so happy because it showed her that this confidence that she had when she first met me, that there's so much potential to me, was absolutely true. If I went from level 0 to level 1 just before I met my wife when I decided to change my life, through her love and her presence, I am now at level 100. This is how fast you can make progress when you have a truly beautiful woman by your side, beautiful in her soul, who's your biggest fan. She worships you. My wife worships me. She sees the world just as me. And that is how I become a better person day by day.